Hey everyone, this is Shadow Libra, and today I will be looking into Garrett Afton and how his story has effects on the missing children. But first I want to ask if you all can subscribe to this new channel I'm making where I play video games. I'm going to try to upload on it every day, and if you could all go subscribe to this new gaming channel, I would really appreciate it. Anyway, now for the actual video. So where we left off in the last video, I explained that after William killed Charlie, her soul went on into the puppet. This was how William learned about the supernatural, and it was the start of his journey with experimenting with souls. However, even though Charlie is possessing the puppet, William does not know how this is possible, so he starts to experiment. We learn about William Afton experimenting on multiple children in the Tales from the Pizzaplex story, Phobia. Phobia is about a boy named Rory, who William Afton kidnapped when he was only 7 years old. Rory was thrown into the FNAF World bedroom, and every night he had to deal with the nightmare animatronics stalking him. He lived in the FNAF 4 house for 10 years, until one morning when he woke up and the house was destroyed. He looked around and found the nightmare animatronics, Nightmare Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy. You see, every night Rory would have nightmares where the nightmare animatronics would basically come after him. Or at least he thought they were nightmares, but it turned out Rory wasn't actually sleeping and he was actually seeing the 4 nightmare animatronics. It is revealed that none of the nightmare animatronics were ever real. Instead, they were just mannequins on rails. Here's some quotes from the story. Looking back at him from the shadows of a small dusty enclosure, the decrepit purple-blue bunny that was a major player in Rory's ongoing nightmares gazed dark-eyed and still. Straight ahead, the bunny was as Rory remembered it from his night terrors. It had tattered fur broken apart so horribly that Rory could see completely through the gaping holes in the bunny's torso. The bunny had deadly-looking teeth and claws, but those teeth and claws were rigid and unmoving now. Rory's nightmare creature was nothing more than a spooky life-size figurine. It was a costume hung on a flimsy metallic skeleton. It couldn't move on its own. It was transported into Rory's room on rails. It was a mechanical trick. The reason Rory thought the nightmares were moving was because of a hallucinogenic gas that caused him to see stuff that wasn't really there. The gas in the gas tanks were hallucinogens. These were drugs that made him think he was seeing and doing things he wasn't seeing and doing. The gas was what made him think he was living in the house with his parents. The gas made him think he had to go to school. The gas made him think he was eating real food, when in fact, the whole time he was eating the awful wafers. The gas was also the source of his night terrors. Apparently the whole thing was a nasty experiment, designed to study the effects of ongoing fear in children. Whoever was behind the experiment wanted to see what happened if a child faced the same horrors night after night with no real life during the day to balance the awful nightmares. This whole place is an experimentation room made by William Afton, but now the machine ran out of gas and it was done. Later in the story, Rory leaves the fake house and he finds himself wandering around Circus Baby's Entertainment and Rentals, exactly how it's described in Sister Location, meaning the FNAF 4 gameplay house is connected to Sister Location. But why did William start these experiments? It was the start of his journey to experiment with souls. Rory finds that there were multiple kids who went through this before he did. He was the most recent one put in the gas experiments. While Rory looks around Sister Location, he manages to make his way to a radio where his friend from when he was a kid is able to contact him, Wade. It was a radio Rory and Wade used to talk with each other when they were young. Conveniently, even though it has been 10 years since Rory disappeared, Wade still had his radio and picks it up pretty quickly. Wade fills Rory in on the past 10 years. Wade encourages Rory to get out, but he specifically directs Rory to the fake house because there might be a generator there. Very convenient that Wade knew where to go. Rory goes back to the fake house and finds this generator. Wow, interesting that Wade knew there was a generator in there, despite the fact he has no idea where Rory even is. Rory finds the generator, and then suddenly William Afton speaks to him.
Hello, Rory. Please don't disrupt the generator, Rory. The generator is what keeps everything running, Rory. It's taking care of you. You know you want to be here, Rory, and the generator makes it possible for you to stay here. It's hooked up to a steady supply of gas, Rory. Always there for you. You ran away from your home, don't you remember? You didn't fit in at school. You came here because you knew you'd be taken care of here. You have been taken care of here. Here, you're never an outcast. You're never wrong. You've been watched over and cared for. That was something your parents never did, Rory. Remember? You're safe here, Rory. This is your home. You've been watched over here. You've never been abandoned, never left alone. All these years you've been cared for. Because you're special, Rory, and you deserve to live in this special place. Safe and secure, never alone. This is your home.
Rory did think of himself as an outcast. He did remember willingly running away from home, so he does it. He fixes the gas tank and the experiment resets. Only this time, Rory is willing to live in this reality. I'm pretty suspicious of the fact that Wade knew where to lead Rory in order to get William to start speaking to him. I mean, the dude was able to pick up the second Rory called, even though they haven't used their radios in 10 years. William just happened to have Rory's radio, and Wade just knew the generator was in the fake house. I'm not buying that, unless it wasn't actually Wade talking to Rory, but instead someone who was acting like a friend speaking through the radio. Doesn't that remind you of anyone? The Fredbear plush from FNAF 4 is shown in sister location with a radio, so under this, William would be creating AIs to act like a friend of the victims he experiments on, which is something the Ultimate Guide backs up, which I think tells us William created the Fredbear plush to speak to Garrett in FNAF 4. Think about it, the Fredbear plush has many lines that seem kind of manipulative. For example, the Fredbear plush tells Garrett not to go near normal, harmless animatronics.
No! Don't you remember what you saw? The exit is the other way. Hurry and leave.
Then when a normal employee just wearing a costume shows up, the Fredbear plush then starts acting like Garrett is in danger.
It's too late. Hurry the other way and find someone who will help. You know what will happen if he catches you.
Garrett runs from the employee, then the Fredbear plush claims the animatronics are bad again.
You can find help if you can get past them. You have to be strong.
The Fredbear plush wants Garrett to be afraid of the animatronics. He's manipulating Garrett, but what is it that Garrett saw? We got a hint to this a while back when Scott made a post saying, "What is seen in shadows is easily misunderstood in the mind of a child." Garrett misunderstood the thing he saw, which lines up perfectly with what phobia tells us about the nightmares. The nightmares are not real, they are illusions caused by gas. FNAF 4's trailer even asks, "What is it that you think you see?" We also know Garrett had to have been one of the kids William experimented on, because in sister location, we see a map of the breaker room, which shows dots for the animatronics in their rental service. But the FNAF 4 house and Plush Trap's hallway are also on this map. Dots are put for each of the nightmare animatronics. Now, notice how the animatronics have gray dots, but there is a white dot in the spot the player stands in both the bedroom and Plush Trap's hall. There is also another white dot, and that dot is at the FNAF 4 minigame house where Garrett's bedroom is located. We also see the mark above Garrett's bedroom labeling it as an observation room. Throughout the entirety of FNAF 4, William is watching over Garrett, experimenting on him, until Garrett dies, and we hear William talk to him, no longer speaking through the Fredbear plush.
You're broken. We are still your friends. Do you still believe that? I am still here. I will put you back together.
When Garrett died, his soul became broken, and William took matters into his own hands to put Garrett's soul back together. In FNAF World, the Fredbear plush leads us into collecting Garrett's memories, the ones we see in FNAF 3. We know those memories are Garrett's because they are foreshadowed in FNAF 4. The BB Kid, the Mango Toy, the Toy Chica without her beak, Fredbear on stage, Shadow Bonnie, and the cherry on top being that the FNAF 3 Happiest Day matches the layout of Fredbear's family diner. Tables are spaced the same colored balloons, the exit is where Garrett was bitten, and the spot the spirits rest is the same spot the exit to Fredbear's is located. FNAF World takes place after the missing children's incident. We know this because the start is the Fredbear plush talking to Garrett. He says,
"Something went very wrong. That's why I'm here."
The Fredbear plush tells Garrett FNAF World is a safe place.
This is a safe place, a sanctuary.
The thing that has gone wrong is the missing children have been killed and their spirits are in a confused state, bound to the pizzeria. The Fredbear plush promises he won't let the same thing happen to Garrett.
But I won't let the same happen to you.
As we established, the Fredbear plush is actually William manipulating Garrett, meaning William Afton is the one guiding us in FNAF World. He tells our character that we were only made for one thing and that our task is to find breadcrumbs for Garrett, so Garrett finds his way. In FNAF World, we are collecting each of Garrett's memories. While on the surface it's meant to look like William is helping Garrett, this is actually not the case. Notice how the collection of all the memories lead to the FNAF 4 bite, the worst day of Garrett's life. It's a bad memory being posed as a good one. William is in a way putting Garrett's soul back together, but only to where, like the other kids, Garrett will see William as a friend. In the movie novel, we see Garrett listen to William and lead Mike to him. Here's the quote. Mike walked toward his little brother. Garrett didn't move. All Garrett did was stand in a shrouded archway. He stared blankly at Mike. The boy took a step backward, then a second step. He was there, then he was something else. In Garrett's place, someone in a rabbit costume appeared. The movie actually fills us in quite a bit on what happens to Garrett's soul after he is put back together. He becomes a wandering spirit at Freddy's. When Mike is at Freddy's, he says he feels closer to Garrett.
I think that they know who took my little brother. I can't explain it, but when I'm here, I feel closer to Garrett. My dreams are more vivid, and it's like I can almost...
Change what happened?
It is also shown that the missing children are friends with Garrett, which is how Golden Freddy knows about the kidnapping and describes it to Abby. In fact, that's how the missing children in the movie know Abby in the first place and talk to her before Mike shows up at Freddy's. They met Abby because she is Garrett's sister. That's who Garrett is. He is a wandering soul at Freddy's who was falsely put back together and now has memories in the pizzeria. We see in FNAF 3 that a small part of each of the kids' souls are trapped in Garrett's memories, which would explain how Garrett talks to and is friends with the missing children. Also, thank you to Spencer and Arcade Endo for voicing in this video. Bye everyone!